and order your own copy today. Members of the Savage Nation, I don't know how to say this, but he's back.
The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America? No, no, no. Not God Bless America. America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. America for treating us citizens as less than human.
Yep. Reverend Jeremiah Wright, America is back. The USKK of A, Jeremiah Wright, is back. There is now a new book by Ed Klein called The Amateur. And apparently Ed Klein interviewed Reverend Jeremiah Wright for his book. It was a 3.5-hour book, a 3.5-hour interview in which Ed Klein, writing on Obama, doing a scathing biography of Obama, contacted Reverend Wright and said, hey, would you like to sit down and talk about the President of the United States and your relationship with him? To Ed Klein's surprise, Reverend Jeremiah Wright said yes. They sat down for 3.5 hours. It was a wide-ranging, extensive interview. And one of the most shocking developments, according to Ed Klein, is that Reverend Wright admitted that during the 2008 campaign, Obama's people reached out to him and offered him hush money. In particular, you want to see how corrupt the Obama team is. You want to see how the Chicago way works. According to Ed Klein, the president, or then Senator Obama, has a very close friend and golfing buddy by the name of Eric Whitaker. They go back to graduate school together. They met while playing pickup basketball. They have been lifelong friends. In fact, Eric Whitaker is Dr. Whitaker, and he works at the University of Chicago Medical Center, where, in fact, Michelle Obama worked and made a very lucrative salary along with Dr. Whitaker. And by the way, before I continue with this story, do you know who just recently got a $6 million federal grant from the Obama administration? You guessed it. Dr. Whitaker's University of Chicago Medical Center. One hand washes the other. But let me return to Ed Klein's narrative. Ed Klein says that apparently the Obama campaign in 2008, when Reverend Wright and his hateful anti-American rhetoric, his racism, his black liberation theology, his anti-Semitism, his hardcore Marxism, when all of this was coming out, when all of this venom was coming out, they were in a panic. The Obama campaign rightly felt, had the American people really got to know Reverend Wright, the man who baptized Obama's children, married he and Michelle, the man that in whose pews Obama sat for 20 years, listening to his anti-Western, anti-white, anti-American vitriol, they may lose the campaign. So Obama sends his good friend, Dr. Whitaker, to offer Wright $150,000 if he will just keep quiet. Whitaker sends an email to a member of Wright's church saying, please, just shut up and you'll get $150,000. Wright says, no, I cannot and I will not be bought off. So Obama himself, according to Ed Klein, the biographer and author of Amateur, says Obama then walked over to meet Wright personally, begging him to keep quiet. Here is Ed Klein in his own words saying, the Obama campaign offered Wright $150,000 in hush money. Boys, roll clip 6.
Chicago politics is one hand feeds the other, as you know. And Eric Whitaker, a very close friend of the Obamas, sent an email to a member of the church saying that the Reverend Wright could get $150,000 if he would shut up and not criticize Obama anymore. Then, after the Reverend Wright said no thank you, Obama himself paid a personal call on the Reverend Wright. Just to put it in context, if you remember, Obama made a big speech saying, this is his famous race speech, which took place on the 18th of March. About 10 days later, he made the secret meeting with the Reverend Wright after he'd already denounced him.
If Ed Klein is right, and I have no reason to doubt him, this is a scandal of major proportions. Because what happened here, this may be normal in Chicago, but in the rest of America, this is not only wrong and unethical, it's illegal. If the campaign team offered money to silence Reverend Wright, that's illegal. That's bribery and conspiracy to commit bribery. Then there should be an investigation. Congress should look into this. And in fact, what I would do if I was a Republican member of Congress is I would subpoena Reverend Jeremiah Wright. And I would say, you got to come up to Capitol Hill and testify under oath. Did the President of the United States or one of his agents offer you $150,000 for you to keep quiet and distance yourself from your association with Barack Hussein Obama? Because if the answer is yes, my friends, we have a major corruption scandal. We have an attempt now to buy somebody off. And so then the question has to become, why is Reverend Jeremiah Wright now, 4 years after coming into the spotlight in the spring of 2008, why is he now coming out and giving all of this information, spilling the beans, so to speak, to Ed Klein for his book? According to Ed Klein, and I also know this for a fact because I've heard it from people close to Jeremiah Wright, Wright feels burned. Wright feels that he was thrown under the bus by Obama. That when Obama disowned him in the spring of 2008 to save his falling campaign, to limit the damage control, to limit the damage being done to him, Wright rightfully said, you were in my church for 20 years. I was like a second father to you. I baptized your children. I married you and Michelle. I was your spiritual advisor. And now when it's politically convenient, you just discard me like a used shirt? And I believe that it is this sense of injustice, this sense of personal retribution, this sense of having been neglected and humiliated by Obama that is now driving Wright to now speak out against the president. Here is Ed Klein in his own words. Boys, roll clip 7.
Reverend Wright is more than angry. He's absolutely fulminating. He feels that he's been thrown under the bus by a man whom he mentored for 23 or 24 years. You know, all of us, complain about the fact that Obama sat in that church and listened to that hate speech for 20 years. But what we don't realize is that even before he became a member of the church, he was very close to the Reverend Wright, who was like a second father to him, and who was his spiritual advisor, his political advisor.
Bingo. Klein has it dead on. Wright was the spiritual embodiment of Obama. Wright was the one that indoctrinated Obama in the politics of anti-Western, anti-colonial socialism. That's where Obama cut his teeth. And then when it was politically expedient for the dear leader, he cut him off at the knees. And so my question to you is a very simple one. It's a three-barreled question. Do you believe that Obama and the Obama team committed an offense, a criminal offense, by offering Reverend Wright, according to Jed Klein, $150,000 in hush money? Should there be a congressional investigation? 2, why do you think Reverend Wright is talking now? What do you think are the motives for him to all of a sudden come out and release all of this damaging information? Why is he speaking now? And 3, is this the tip of the iceberg? Think about it. If they're willing to bribe and pay off this man $150,000 for his silence, who else have they been paying off? Who else do you think they've been paying off to keep quiet and silent about all of the criminality and corruption that is rampant in this man and his regime? 1-800-449-8255. Why is Reverend Wright speaking now? I want to hear from you. This is Jeff Cooner, sitting in for Michael Savage on the Savage Nation.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. This is Jeff Cooner from the Washington Times, sitting in for the living legend, Michael Savage. 1-800-449-8255. Wright is now coming out and saying that he was offered $150,000 by the Obama campaign in 2008 for his silence and to stay out of the public view. Why do you think Reverend Wright is speaking now? What do you think his motives are? And should a congressional investigation be launched?